That's why I never posted it
Early on, that's like 8 of us.
because I don't want.
I'm like, I remember one time we were sleeping on a couch and I like sat on you because I didn't even know you were on the couch. We didn't even have enough beds. Like, why would you even on the couch?
Oh, that too. You ready?
Oh,
I did.
was showing
He's
my
running
face
late.
because he was trying to tell me about the
Okay, so then I wanted to give you.
Republican, and I'm like, okay, you know, find it real quick. I decided to start using Twitter.
Celebrations are
Yeah.
from Solano.
I have this
So,
season.
because they're supposed to be having us in
Far more younger ones.
So you get me.
Okay, that's cool. I
Florida
appreciate
ones
having
are
you.
the outliers because they're connected to Cuba and Puerto Rico, which is
Venezuela,
Venezuela.
they tend to like.
They live right because their history.
Similar to like. Indian people.
Hello, this is Osborne School District's update to the modernization.
And a lot of like, I will say, Husband's family, they've been here since the beginning. Because like I'm the only Democrat. Our generation, the young people, but anyone older.
This first action
Because
Yeah.
like women's rights, like I hope.
Didn't tell, I don't think she told other teachers, but she told me like, hey,
we move it up.
I'm gonna be gone for about a week and a half. And I was like,
So she was gonna go to Mexico. Beautiful. How does? Oh, for the immigration
yeah.
appointment. I never had to leave. Some people do. I'm just like terrified. My grandmother had her, and they denied her, so like she never came back, and then she died, and I couldn't even see her.
That is okay. Now you're worrying.
That's why I get stressed out with those appointments that like you have to go to the border.
Now I'm stressed out because I love this student a lot.
Contact in case she needs.
She's leaving Thursday. I'm gonna give her an Osborne card actually because it has all my information.
Tell her like if something comes up, just let me know right away. I do fear that.
Like I know a couple of years.
And some congressmen and some U.S. senators now, and they for her.
The community.
That's gonna be fun though instead.
You're like, I wasn't expecting.
I really liked the group of kids who put up. Not kids, but like.
We go ahead and call this meeting to order. Good afternoon. My name is Ed Hermes. I am the clerk of the board. I'm stepping in for Juan Carlos. He's just a couple minutes late, but he said go ahead and get started without him. We're going to go ahead and call to the order, and we're going to have Pledge of Allegiance and school presentation. Ms. Nora, do we have somebody to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance today, or we're going to just go ahead and do it on our own?
Say that again.
Do we have anybody to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance from Solano, or should we just go ahead and do it on our own?
Yes. Let me, sorry, I'm turning on the captions. So I can hear. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. Are you going to lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance first?
I can do that.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Go ahead. The floor is yours, Ms. Norwood. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll start with our Spread the Love Awards for Solano, and I'm excited. I don't, who's here? 1, 2, okay, there's checking who's here. So our first person She joined our team this year. I'm excited that she's there. And definitely she's deserving of this first award for equity. And that would be Joan Bucklew. Awesome. Thank you.
Joan, if you can just line up right here so that we can have everybody line up together. And then when we're all done, we'll take a break and we'll take pictures too. Thank you.
And then the next award is another staff member who joined us this year, and she definitely exemplifies joy every day in her smile, her attitude, and that is Melissa Lundstedt. And our next person has definitely earned the core value of growth. From last year to this year, she has shown that she is an excellent teacher and will continue to be an excellent. Presentation does matter. Next slide. So this year we have 3 school-wide goals at Solano. Again, they're big goals, but we're definitely, just like we're living out the core values, we are living out those goals. And the first one is effective teachers and instruction. The second one is conditions, climate, and culture. And the third one is family and community engagement. And so the slides will show things that we're doing in each of those areas and highlighting some areas that I feel are important to share with you all. Next slide. Next slide. So the first is effective teachers and instruction. And so some things that we're doing at Solano, really focusing on teacher collaboration, staff team building, and definitely engaging our scholars in more hands-on activities. And we're doing that through definitely utilizing all of our district resources, but also with the support of our master teachers this year, just really focusing in on building those relationships with teachers so that they're more receptive to teaching and learning and doing that in a more effective way for our scholars. And I also wanted to share some quotes, just a few from some of our teachers at Solano and how they're feeling about being there. And I'll read them. One, I am grateful for meaningful and small student interactions. I am so grateful for the support available. I'm grateful for my master teacher who worked hard to support me, and I'm grateful for being able to enjoy coming to work. And that's important for us because when we go into goal 2, one of our goals is to improve the conditions, climate, and culture at Solano. So the fact that we have teachers that are feeling good about coming to work and feeling good about working with their scholars and their peers is important. And so conditions, climate, and culture doesn't just apply to our staff, it also applies to our students as well, our scholars. And so today we are going to hear from and highlight our student ambassadors. That's a new program for us at Solano. And these scholars were selected through an application process and recommendations from their teachers. And so I'm gonna have our student ambassadors come forward. There are 10 of them. There are 10, but we have 3 here. And these ladies are going to share with you a little bit about who they are, what they do, and what their role is at Solano. Are you ready? All right. Just start from the beginning. That's okay. Just read her part.
Good evening and greetings, board members, ambassadors, faculty, staff, parents, and Osborne community. My name is Elizabeth Sep Gonzalez. I am known as Liz. I am a 6th grader in Miss T's homeroom. I am the I am the first Solano student ambassador to be selected for this 2022 through 2023 school year. There are 10 of us in total, my peers and fellow ambassadors joining me this evening.
My name is Arieli Santiago Satran. I'm in 6th grade, and my homeroom teacher is Miss Tenejith.
Hi, my name is Mariana Alexa Valenzuela Lucero. My homeroom teacher is Miss Tenejith, and I'm in 6th grade.
We are incredibly humble for this opportunity to be here, proud to represent Solano, as we are excited to share with you who we are and what we do. Arieli.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening again. What is a student ambassador? Student ambassadors are expected to conduct themselves as campus leaders, exhibiting the behavior expecting of a representative for the school. We exhibit a service-oriented attitude, a desire to meet and greet campus visitors, and a willingness to assist campus guests, teachers, students, and prospective students and families. Marianne.
Thank you, Arieli. What is the role of a student ambassador on campus? Student ambassadors participate but are not limited to helping to educate visitors about the campus life, history, traditions, and achievements of the school, supporting the different departments on campus, conducting campus tours, supporting recruitment events, fundraisers, and assisting in students. School and community functions such as assemblies, award ceremonies, curriculum nights, showcases, and so much more. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Mari. What are core traits of an ambassador? The core traits of a Solano student ambassador include, but are not limited to, knowledge and of appreciation for school marketing, expectational attendance, a high level of professionalism, communication, social, social marketing expectation, attendance at a high level of professional communitism, communicational, social, no, this one. Presence, having leadership skills, and a passion for building and growing relationships, although they may not be traits, as we as ambassadors are also a part of multiple after-school clubs and organizations in and out of school. Arieli.
Thank you, Elizabeth. How does one become a student ambassador? To become a student ambassador, we had to reach out to our school student ambassadors or advisors. Solano requires a student ambassador to be a current 5th or 6th grade student. In application, applicant must provide a letter of recommendation from a school faculty or staff member. Solano ambassadors have a specific degree of qualifications needed, such as upholding and maintaining the core values and mission of our school. Solano ambassadors are expected to represent the school with tiger pride and follow the rules and policies started within our student and family handbook at all times. Ambassadors are expected to maintain a good academic standing. Ambassadors are not to have any behavioral misconduct, write-ups, or referrals during the academic year. Once applications were reviewed and processed by the ambassador committee, we received our acceptance letters shortly after. Mariana.
Thank you, Arieli. There are many reasons one may want to become a Solano student ambassador. For example, I became a Solano student ambassador because I have experience in leading and I know what it takes to help our school achieve its goals. Elizabeth?
I became a student ambassador to make sure everyone feels safe at our school. I have been attending for the last 6 years, and I will try my best to make sure that happens. Arieli.
I became a Solano student ambassador because I have experience in leading and I know what it takes to help our school achieve its goals. Mariam.
I became a Solano student ambassador to help out lower grades, to help promote our school and serve our community. Elizabeth?
Hi, my name is Sakura Diegis, and I became a student ambassador to help the lower grades.
Hi, my name's Cynthia, and I became an ambassador because I like helping and I want to make sure that people feel safe in our campus.
I became a student ambassador because I'm not afraid to speak up for what is right, and I mostly love helping people. That makes me happy.
I became a student ambassador to help our teachers in our younger grades. I've been going to Solana for a long time, so I want to be able to give back to my school.
I did do the last part.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean this part?
Yeah, because we already read through that, so you're good.
Okay.
Alright.
Do I do the dips part?
No.
We would like to take this time to thank Ms. Nord, Ms. Valentine, and Mr. Nelson, and Ms. Chavalle for starting this program. We love being able to contribute to the traditions, climates, and culture of our beloved Solano. Thank you.
No, you're good. Yeah. Oh, did you introduce yourself? Oh, introduce yourself.
Did I say my name, my grade? Hi, my name is Adrian. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm in Miss T's homeroom.
Yeah. Great job.
Thank you all. So it is a new program to our school, but they have definitely been helping out. We've had a few assemblies and they've helped out there. They help out daily with our 3rd and 4th grade recess. And then they also helped out with our curriculum night with the parents and helping them, guiding them to where they needed to be. So just taking on that additional leadership role on our campus. And they actually wear vests so that they stand out. They wear blue vests so that the other students know who they are. And we actually went into each of the classrooms and presented them to the other students so that they know this is another level of authority on our campus, if you will. Elizabeth, come up and introduce yourself. Just tell them who you are and why you became an ambassador.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Abera, and today I became a student ambassador based on a birthday wish. I wish to help as many people as I can and prior to the pandemic, and now I finally get the chance to give it back to school.
Awesome. Thank you.
And as you heard, they all have their own reasons for wanting to become ambassadors, and they definitely are living that out on our campus. And we appreciate the work that they're doing, but also appreciate Ms. Valentine, who kind of oversees them, her and Ms. Chavalle as well. So thank you all for coming today.
Yes.
And then our last goal is family and community engagement. Next slide. And the goal here is to welcome our families back to Solano. After COVID, nobody was on campus. Our families are anxious to be back there, and as well as our community partners. We still do our monthly parent meetings. We did those during COVID, but now since we're out of COVID, I still do one virtually, but then I also do one in person. They're on the same day, so I'll do one in the morning, and that one is virtual, and the one in the evening is in person, to give parents an opportunity to come in and meet me face to face, but then also just to come together and talk about what we're doing at Solano. And then we are starting up our site council and PTO, and then we have a number of volunteers that have also signed up to come and support the work that we're doing. And these are just a few of the highlights of some activities that we done. We held our first annual trunk or treat. We had over 200 visitors and families on the campus. That was amazing because that was our first time, and a lot of folks had not heard of what a trunk or treat was, so that was exciting. We had a curriculum night just a couple weeks ago. We combined that with the Dia de los Muertos celebration, and each of the classrooms created altars or other displays for that celebration. And then involving our community, we had State Representative Marcelino Quinones come and read to our third graders last month for Kids Read. So just involving the community in a lot of different ways, but definitely engaging our families and welcoming them back to Solano in ways that they may or may not have engaged before. So we're working really hard to get Solano where we would like to see it, where you all would like to see it, and we're pretty focused on how we're going to get there as a staff and involving our scholars as well. Any questions?
Just wanted to, no questions for me. Just wanted to say thank you so much and very impressive. Our student ambassadors, thank you so much for coming. You guys are all, each of you are very impressive. And it's great to hear from everybody, especially the three ladies who did a lot of the heavy lifting in the beginning. Liz, Arielle, and Mariana, all very impressive. When I was in 6th grade, I would have been way too afraid to come up here and speak to a big room like this. So you guys are all very impressive, and you kept your cool. And just thank you for your service. Well, Ms. Norwood, everyone, all of your teachers and staff and student ambassadors now too, to just reopen the school to the community really and give those tours and really showcase what we're doing at Solano so we can grow. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask who can do this in Spanish? As you're an ambassador of your school, who can say it in Spanish, what you actually do? Like when you're welcoming people, can you say it in Spanish? Oh, just raise your hand. Oh, muchas gracias. Perfecto. Thank you for what you do. And like in 6th grade, like I was super shy, so I would never had the courage to stand up in front of a podium to talk to adults. So thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
And something I noticed, which I think is part of what your role as an ambassador is the three of you were helping each other, supporting each other. When someone didn't remember their line, you guys were helping each other, which is a good example of being an ambassador and caring about others. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
So much, Ms. Norwood.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Are just wrapping up district celebrations.
Okay, so we already did the love. Okay.
Yes, we already did the pledge. We did the thing. I'll just mention a couple other things, and then I'll pass it back to President Juan Carlos, and we'll take a quick break as well. Also, in district celebrations, wanted to mention that want to thank the community for voting over. I think it was over 75% for the override, which is a massive showing of support. And, it was the highest percentage of yes vote of any district in the whole state. No one else supports their school district quite to the level of that the Osborne community does. So it's wonderful to be a part of this district. And thank you to the folks who helped with the campaign. I know John Dowd and Eric Thompson and OEA was a huge supporter as well. So thank you for the support of that. And also wanted to, I think we're supposed to mention as well, we had an election, of course, for our district. We're sorely going to miss Sue. Not the last meeting yet, Sue, so don't make me start crying yet. But,
Before I spoke.
Yes. Yeah, I will. You will make me cry, and Juan Carlos as well. And it's just been an honor to serve with both of you, and it's been really a pleasure and an honor, and appreciate all of your service. So thank you so much for running and for serving, and thank you for running as well. And nothing's official yet, but it looks like our top two vote getters are Violeta Ramos and Leanne Greenberg, and we're really congratulate them and really looking forward to serving with them as well. But there will be a huge Juan Carlos-sized hole in my heart, and Sue Corbin hole in my heart, and I really just appreciate serving with both of you guys.
Thank you, Ed. And two educators joining the board can only improve it, I think. So I believe the district is in great hands, so thank you for your kind words.
Take a quick 5-minute break, right, Colleen? And then I think we're gonna get a couple of photos. So it's 5:57. We come back here at 6:05, and the gavel is officially back to Juan Carlos.
All right, thank you. How's Eric taking
Yeah, don't say bad connotation.
we always ask our students what they want to see in their school specifically. So if they see a problem in their school that is facing everyday student life, we address those problems specifically. If students come to us with concerns about bullying, they come to us about concerns about sexual harassment, suicide, all those things, we make sure to align our curriculum with that. With the middle schoolers, we always focus a little bit more on the SEL learning, so social and emotional learning, and we prepare them to become the leaders of tomorrow. What does this mean for Peer Solutions? We continue our programs from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, which means that if we start them off at middle school, our hopes is that they will continue within our program all the way through their high school career. How do they do that? We hire them as peer leaders. So what we do is we onboard them as our peer leaders and we offer them a $150 stipend a month for them to continue doing this work, and they build their resumes to be able to continue these activities and also impact the younger students and mentor them as well. So we are an after-school program as well as a lunch club meetings at the high schools. We often bring our high school peer leaders to the middle schools to be able to work on this curriculum with the students and be able to work with them and provide that mentorship. So a couple of different things that we do for the adults and the student and the teacher staff, we also provide something called TIP trainings. So those are considered trauma-informed peer prevention trainings, where we actually focus on what the trauma-informed peer prevention trainings that are happening and that the problems that they see at the school specifically and the populations that they work with. So that means that we bring this club to the schools, but we also want to be able to provide that training for our teachers to be able to work better with their students, understand their social emotional needs, their community, and what they're seeing in their community every single day. I did bring a couple of different little flyers, a couple of business cards. I would love to leave them with you guys here for you guys to look them up if you guys are ever interested in having trauma-informed peer prevention trainings for the board or for anybody in the school district. We are still open to receiving more schools. I think we have one slot open. Solano took the second to last one. But if you guys have any questions, please let us know. We have lots of experience doing this nonprofit. We have been established for about 26 years within the Tempe School District, Solano School District, and even the Phoenix School District in general. So if you guys have any questions, please let us know. That's what we're here for. And I brought my business cards and everything else for you guys. Would you guys like me to give these to you?
Yes, that'd be great if you could pass those
Do you guys have
around.
any questions for me right now?
Are you currently operating already at Solano right now?
Not at Solano specifically. We are getting an MOU cleared through the Phoenix High School District right now.
Okay.
I think it is going to get cleared within the next month or so, and once we get in there, we will get started at the high school level.
Got it. How many students do you expect in the after-school program?
That's a great question. We presented to the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, and every single one of the students wanted to join. I believe we have anywhere from 30 to about 45 slots open for the students.
30. And is there a cost?
No cost. We are completely free.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then I believe this is just for October 1st, which has already passed, but through September 30th, 2023. I assume if you're seeing success, you want to continue on?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
We definitely try to stick with our school. So if we find interest, we want to continue that relationship with them.
That's wonderful. I love after school, opportunities. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for coming to present.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion?
I move that we approve the MOU with Peer Solutions.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, going back to the agenda, we have the consent item 4, consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the items on the consent agenda.
Any second?
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Any call to the public? No. Perfect. Then I guess we'll go on to item 6, fiscal year 23 grant presentation.
Yes, we have our federal program specialist, Ms. Stephanie Sotomayor, is going to present And I will assist if needed on money questions, but
Okay.
she has the presentation.
Good evening. Good evening, President Flamand and members of the board and Osborne Learning Community. I'm happy to be here as the district's federal program specialist to just share with you overview of some of the, or kind of most of the grants that we do have here in the district, and I get to manage, along with some highlights that are specific to a few grants, including ESSER. So, make sure my trigger works. Oh, turning it on might help. Okay. So this slide gives you an overview of the majority of the grants that we have in the district. Our 21st Century Grant benefits 5 of our schools, and we actually just received approval for 4 of the schools to receive additional enhancement funds. You probably know 21st Century serves our students before and after school with academic and enrichment, sports, dance. We have STEM clubs, audio-visual, and a variety of other different things depending school to school. With the enhancement funds that they just received, they are school to school, they're taking steps to provide additional enhancements, whether it's Baile Folklorico, STEM. We have a couple of schools working on maker spaces and outdoor learning environments. The A for AZ Transportation Modernization Grant is one that we are benefiting from since last year. I'll provide a few specifics on that one in just a few. And then the ARP Homeless 1 and 2, these are COVID relief funds that were awarded to the district. These funds support supplies, hygiene items, clothing. We were also able to enhance the resource pantries at each of the schools through these funds. In addition to that, we're working really to braid funds. So for example, with the ARP Homeless 2, we are using Title I funds to purchase food for the resource pantries. ARP IDEA is another one of the COVID relief funds, and that one supports special ed. We have been able so far to purchase a comprehensive supplemental program license that offers adaptive instruction for our students with disabilities. We also plan to have additional professional development to further support meeting students' IEP needs. The Child Care Stabilization Grant is another COVID relief fund that we were awarded last year. It happens to be focused on preschool, so I'll take some time to talk a little bit more about that one, along with another one of our preschool grants. The dyslexia designee has, under ARS 15704 legislation, we have schools, we have designees at each school that have gone through extensive training in the area of identifying and then providing intensified supports to students that may have dyslexia. And then each of those individuals are benefiting from having a stipend that's provided through this grant because they have some additional expectations that they provide to each of our schools. The Education for Homeless Children and Youth is our McKinney-Vento grant, is typically how it's referred to. We have our lead liaison has a stipend. We've got training to also build capacity with that program. And then additional supplies and transportation is provided to students through that grant. Our ESEA grants, Title I, Title II, and Title IV, you probably are familiar with. But under Title I, we've got a majority of our master teachers' salaries, additional support staff is funded through that one, summer pay for curriculum work with teachers, some professional development, and then also school-level funds that are focused on helping the schools meet their integrated action plan goals. In Title II, this really is primarily focused on professional development. So part of that support is through our mentor teachers and master teachers stipends, and then additional professional development that's provided to our leadership and also teachers. Finally, the Title IV grant, which has 3 big areas: well-rounded schools, safe and healthy, and then also technology integration. So anything that's within that particular grant has to be devoted to one of those 3 buckets. Our early literacy grant provides at multiple schools support staffs to provide intensified support in the area of reading, also supplemental materials. A portion of our letters training for this year has also been funded. That's been a very extensive training that our teachers are investing a lot of time in, but it's definitely been worth it because it's really building the foundation for a better understanding of the science of reading. And then ESSER 1, 2, and 3, which I'll also dig in just a bit more with you, along with the HQEL, or the High Quality Early Learning Grant. IDEA, which is our special education grant, provides staffing, instructional, including teachers, instructional assistants, behavior technicians, along with supplies specific to supporting students' IEPs. And then finally, software to support IEP development and management. Johnson O'Malley, along with Title VI, which is down just a bit below, are both grants that focus on Native American education. So we take kind of braiding again those 2 funds to support our Native American students through the specialists that we have for that program. A portion of summer school enrichment is also used, especially to provide that celebration of culture. Just this last year during summer, the students also were able to take field trips to a couple of different areas. And then capacity building is another important part of the Johnson O'Malley grant. So I was able to attend the National JOM Conference with our Native American specialists back in September, where we met people from all over the country. It was an amazing experience. And then Title III focuses on the English language learners. So our language acquisition specialist is funded partially through that grant, along with supplemental materials for in-class and at-home use. And then we also have used it in part for some professional development for our teachers that support our students learning English. And then finally, the school safety grant funds social workers at each of our schools. Any questions so far?
Could you estimate the total? Like, I tried to do the math and then I just gave up after. But like, what's the total approximately?
Sure. It would take me a moment. It's one thing I didn't like collectively. I don't have the collective number, but we can get it for you.
And are these funds that are paid out in this fiscal year?
Yes, so the one that I would say, the transportation modernization is a 2-year. The amount there is based on 2 years. And then the ESSERs are collective. So from March 2020 to September 24 is what's represented there. The remainder of them are this year.
Okay, and are those grants kind of like things that happen pretty much? Maybe ESSER is unique, right? And the
other
modernization, I think, is a one-off situation. But are they kind of reoccurring grants that you apply for every year, or? Some
of them are. So some of the grants that were competitive within this list, the A for AZ, of course. The Dyslexia Designee Grant was a competitive grant that I applied for earlier in the spring. The High Quality Early Learning Grant was also a competitive grant that we were awarded, which also around, I believe I applied for that one around May, maybe April. The remainder, the school safety grant was also a grant that was competitive a few years ago. Oh, look at that. Thank you so much, sir.
Someone did the math.
Yeah. And these, these are, I would say, not completely the complete comprehensive list of the different grants we have. These really are our primary grants, though.
Just in reference to, the board may remember, the last meeting in October, we presented the annual financial report, and our total grant expenditures in last fiscal year was over 25% of the total expenditures of the district.
Is that it, just how is that, to the extent that you know, I don't know if you would have access to this information, but how does 25% of the school's budget in federal grants compare to other districts?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can find out. It is a significant increase in pre-pandemic years for us. Traditionally, we average around just under 10% of our total expenditures in a 12-month period, and now that's up above 25%. And a lot of that is not just ESSER, but it's those additional grant opportunities that Stephanie was highlighting that we've gone after, and she's done a wonderful job writing and lucky enough to be awarded. So.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so.
Hello, this is Osborne.
Sorry about that. The A for AZ Transportation Modernization Grant you heard about last fall. We were awarded $2 million to purchase 3 electric buses, solar-powered charging infrastructure to be built back in the bus bays, mobile data tracking, and then along with sidewalk improvements. Progress so far. We expect the electric buses to arrive around January. We also have that same expectation for the data tracking software. And I have a short clip that features John. Instead of just doing a written reporting, we did an interview style. So this gives you just a little bit of a glimpse of the time that we took together. This was a report that was provided to that organization in May.
Hello, this is Osborne School District's update to the Modernization and Transportation Grant. And we are going to say hello to Mr. John Batchelor, our amazing Director of Maintenance and Transportation.
Thank you, Stephanie.
So John, can you just talk a little bit about the benefits to having this kind of opportunity?
The grant that we've entered into has given us the opportunity to go somewhere our district has never been able to go or even thought of going. But to have electric, emissions-free vehicles on our property is actually going to be the new way of how we do business. So as we move forward in our district, all vehicles purchased will be zero emissions. And that's going to help in so many ways with just the driver retention, the excitement around the buses, student health, with not having to breathe in all the emissions. And as we load and unload our students, we typically are right in the mass majority of the student gathering. And when we pull in with zero emissions buses, we no longer have to worry about the effects that we're having on these students. As well as we have a 5-minute idling policy for our buses for the diesel program. And so as the kids get on those buses in the afternoon, they are usually hot. And the students, of course, are hot. So with the electric buses, we will have them pre-cooled, and with no emissions going, the AEC can continue to run as the students board and deboard the bus. So it's going to be a pretty amazing process.
And you're also going to have mobile data terminals.
Yes, so the mobile data terminals, what they're going to do for us is track the students as they get on and off the buses, as well as send notifications to parents who sign up for it that will tell them that their student got on the bus and when they got off the bus and at what stops. It will also do is notify parents that sign up for it to be able to tell them when they are a minute or so away from the house. So especially in the high heat days, we don't have families standing out there for 5 or 10 minutes. They can come out a very short time before the bus gets there, receive their child, and be on their way. So that's going to be pretty awesome as well. And then it will also do tracking for us. So if a parent calls and says that the bus didn't come to their house, We can actually track the whole route of the bus, ensuring that our bus drivers took the routes that they're designed to take, as well as when we stopped at the stops, we have them time stamped. It will tell us if we're over braking, over accelerating, everything that you kind of need to know about being safe in the neighborhoods. That's really going to help everybody out as well.
Yeah, it is really exciting, especially for our parents and caregivers for the students.
Definitely.
And what would you say are some celebrations or successes so far?
I think, just the movement of where we're going. The drivers that have driven the bus are very excited. Just the feel of the bus, just to know that we're moving in a direction that's going to be beneficial to everybody. The drivers are excited about not having to breathe in diesel fumes, between each other, which again, we don't think about a lot, but they're in the trenches doing it, and they're looking forward to being a lot healthier for themselves. And the celebration of having a quieter vehicle, the ones that we've ridden on, the drivers can't believe how quiet they are, which also means the students are going to be more quiet. They're not going to have to yell across the bus to communicate to each other. They can actually talk in a normal tone of voice. And I think the clean energy, just again, it's the wave we're going, and the families are on board. And I think it's really gonna just take our district, and so many of these families, they've never even seen or been around an electric vehicle. And I think actually being able to participate on that's gonna really help all of them understand that too.
So nice job.
Good job, John.
You have an agent yet? Did you get an agent yet? An agent for Hollywood.
So we're really excited.
Just on a quick question on that before we move on past that. Where are we at with the sidewalk improvements? I mean, I about tripped on a broken sidewalk on my way over here. Where is that
That's
at?
a really good point and a good question. I do not have that information right now for you, but can definitely get it to you in the very near future.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Just so he doesn't get all the attention, I was visiting Osborne Middle School a few years ago and tripped on how the sidewalks are kind of like there's a crack in them.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the family, parents, the dads were coming over to pick me up.
Oh, my goodness.
Need to fix some sidewalks around here.
Yes, I know. I have something similar in the front of my house. We have an over 50-year-old mulberry tree that has buckled the front. So I can definitely relate. Multiple times, I have to say, too. So we're really excited for what this grant opportunity is bringing to the district. And in addition, round 2 applications were made available, and we've applied for that opportunity as well. We're looking at getting some electric vans, which we call our white fleet, to replace the ones we currently have, expansion of our district level charging infrastructure, which would be needed as we continue to grow. Also community accessible charging stations that would be installed at different sites. And we're looking at having both the level 2 and level 3 stations. The level 2 stations are the ones that you'll see most of the time around. They're slower charging, but the level 3 stations, which are right now not necessarily the most cost effective, but they provide the capability of rapid charging. So if we had community members that needed a charge, they would be able to pull into one of the parking lots that have community accessibility and sit for 20 minutes and have almost a full charge. Also, we applied for a rideshare allowance to benefit our students that are experiencing homelessness. We've seen quite a rise in those numbers the last 18 months. So that was something that felt important to also put in the ask, along with year-round contracts for 3 more drivers. That's something we have in one of our ESSER grants right now that we've seen some benefit as far as from a retention perspective. And then finally, looking at consult services to provide some system analysis and data review as we think about continuing to transition into a more innovative approach for providing transportation to the students. There's so many different things that aren't necessarily on the radar as we come into this type of innovation. So having that type of service will really help us be that much more data-driven in how our transportation system's working, but then also be able to support the foresight that's needed to have a successful transformation, really. Okay, so our preschool grants. We have 2 grants that are benefiting our preschools. We have one, which is the Child Care Stabilization Grant. This one we've had since last year. The allocation for the full project period is shown here. It is an aspect of COVID relief funds through the Department of Economic Security, and 4 of our schools benefit from it. It's been able to support funding our preschool staff, additional classroom support staff, so being able to have additional preschool assistants in there to support the students. Also playground and classroom enhancements, academic and some social emotional learning supports, and then professional development. So these are all different things that we are able to benefit through these funds. We've got one of our teachers from Montecito will be going to a spring professional development to support early childhood and from a Montessori perspective. And then we're also looking at, we're in the planning stages of some different enhancements that will be happening in the playgrounds at 3 of the schools, because Montecito is already in the midst of those enhancements. And then the High Quality Early Learning Grant is benefiting Longview and Solano, were those 2 schools that were awarded, and the project period allocation, which goes through next year, is displayed here. This provides free preschool to 40 students based on income. It also has provided us the ability to have certified teachers in those classrooms, along with an additional preschool assistant. And very similar, we're looking at classroom enhancements. What are some updates and some innovative flexible seating and other furniture that we can, kind of have installed into the classrooms, outdoor enhancements, and then family engagement partnerships. You might remember from the Encanto school the MOU that Encanto had initiated with Lutheran Social Services. We're now in talks with them to also bring those services into at least Longview and Solano to have that partnership grow and provide some parent workshops and just different strategies that they know of that they can support from the perspective of family engagement. So that's a partnership. We have a meeting actually within the next couple of weeks, myself and Jill, who I'm sure you know.
The 40 students at Longview and Solano for the high quality early learning, is that 40 per Longview and Solano? Is that 40 total, 20 each?
It's 20 each right now.
Is that full?
We're at 18 and 19.
Okay.
So we're pretty close.
Pretty close. Got it. Right. And the child care stabilization, the 828, how much of that is for staff versus the other things?
So far, the majority of it has been dedicated to staff. So last year, it was around 125,000 that was expended that was dedicated to staff.
Does all that money have to be expended 1 year, or is that 828,000 over the next couple of years looking forward?
So that particular grant concludes June of 2023.
Okay, so June of 2023 coming up. Wow, it's coming up fast.
Yes.
Okay. Can we get that grant again, or is there concerns that when this grant runs out that it might impact our? I would love to expand our preschools.
I agree
and I'm
completely.
concerned.
Yeah.
Mike, you kind of know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
I'd love to leverage this to expand and grow, get 3-year-olds in the back on campus. We used to have when I had a 3-year-old, she was in Aganto, and we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So I'd love to leverage this grant to expand and have more classrooms and more ages
Yeah.
on our campuses. Is that possible?
So before coming here, I was at ADE for 2.5 years. And, thankfully, I still have so many of those connections in conversations with early childhood. They're actually right now having their conversations with USED as far as what additional grant opportunities are going to be brought to the state to help continue these supports, knowing the value of early childhood. I myself, when I decided to go back to work, our daughter was able to go to the 3-year-old class that happened to be on the campus that I was teaching. So I will tell you that it's something that is high in my personal values as well. So, but yes, what we expect is that there will be additional opportunities. I don't know if those will come from DES or the Department of Economic Security, but we do expect additional opportunities to come through the Department of Ed.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. So ESSER. Like I said, I worked at ADE for 2.5 years, and I had the fortunate opportunity to be a part of the team that spearheaded the ESSER unit at ADE. We all of a sudden had all these different funds that we needed to support schools in using to support that initial response. What I will say is over the time that I have been here and been, I actually supported Osborne before I came here in applying for the grants and things like that. What I have really truly learned though is being part of the district is the degree of planning that's gone into the utilization of the funds. So I kind of categorize them based on that perspective. But just to give you a bit of an overview of ESSER, there were 3 different acts that were passed. The CARES Act was initially passed in March of 2020, which provided those initial outflow of funds. Then the CRRSA Act was passed in December of that same year, second flow. And then finally, the American Rescue Plan Act was passed in March of 2021. So through those, ESSER 1, 2, and 3, and then another iteration that was a competitive set of funds were released. The requirements under this program were, at first, it was very, very free, and then whittled down into things that needed to have that COVID rationale as far as allowability was concerned, and then also that evidence base according to ESSA's tiers of evidence. Every LEA, including Osborne, was expected to introduce a safe return to in-person learning plan. We've had that plan in place. We've had input from stakeholders over the course of the different iterations of the plan. It's required to be updated twice a year, and we just did our latest submission. And what schools did to help with that stakeholder input is they integrated the information of the plan into their Title I parent meetings and some other parent meetings so that we could gain a bit more of that ongoing input that we know is really important. There's also annual reporting that is required. We have to provide our planned use of funds along with what actually happened. We have to very strategically make sure that we're addressing equity. And then we also have the experience of desktop monitoring with ADE, which we actually just had a couple weeks ago. We got some really positive feedback, which was nice. Initially when, like I said, as far as allowability of funds, there were probably 20 different categories. They were whittled down into these 4 major areas. In these 4 areas are what kind of lies those expectations of how funds are expended. So ESSER 1, I categorized as our response. This is the initial allocation, the project period, expenditures to date and remaining funds. The sunset on ESSER is no later than the end of this calendar year. So we're in the midst right now of doing the completion report and concluding this. So those key focus areas don't completely provide the comprehensive perspective, but those really are the major areas that the funds were expended. So thinking about, because this brings us back to March 2020, so kind of where were we and what was needed. So that initial response, which was so fast from a district perspective, provided that PPE and the equipment, professional development to support the distance learning, the additional support staff, internet service and hotspots, and then that technology software that we needed because of the type of format that instruction needed to be. And then finally, the additional curricula and learning supplies. ESSER 1 experienced a carryover period, which also allowed us to offer vaccination incentives for students and staff. ESSER 2, I categorized as resilience. So you can see the initial allocation, the other information about the project period. This one is still in place. You can see it concludes September 2023, and we have to liquidate by the end of the calendar year for 2023. So you can see the committed funds that are remaining and then the uncommitted funds. What I want to clarify with that term uncommitted doesn't mean that we have no idea what we're going to do with it. It just means that we're still having those planning conversations so that we're really looking at the impact data to help us make informed decisions with the remainder of the funds.
What is the thought on the remainder of those funds?
As far as how it's going to be used?
Yeah.
So in thinking about this particular year, we're looking at, truthfully, with the two funds that are remaining, we're really, number one, looking at the data. Number two, we're looking at what can be repurposed as we're moving forward. So that was something I have coming up. But thinking ahead to the fact that these funds will sunset over the next 18 months, looking at kind of where we are with staffing now. We haven't sustained as much staffing as we thought, in the sense of these were all these different positions that were funded, but they weren't maybe filled. Or over the term, we've found, we can repurpose and kind of be more strategic with the funds. What are some things I'm missing?
The only other thing I would add is that as we've looked at each year as expenditures, we've had savings, whether that's vacancy savings or, as Sophia was saying, other savings in what was planned for. We've also looked at pushing those uncommitted funds back to budget committee, and that's where we've been able to do additional staff retention payments as well, is from those previous year realized savings in ESSER that then get pushed back out, and the majority of that has been pushed out through retention stipends.
Got it. I saw in one of the last slides there was a stakeholder input. What does that comprise of?
So we have different people from the community that have been involved in those initial plannings. At this point, we're having district leadership come together, site leadership. At site-based, they've got a variety of different representation to help provide additional input into that as well.
Just really want to encourage that we have a meet and confer with our Osborne Education Association, our teachers. Just really want to encourage, there's still a lot of money left to be allocated. Just really want to encourage everybody to make sure we're putting our teachers, conferring with them on what's best.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would also add that, in very intentionally, when ESSER funds were first received, in our planning, we intentionally set aside 5% of each wave as contingency, because we didn't know what all of our needs were going to be at that moment, knowing that this was a multi-year project period. And so we haven't had to dip into those contingencies that were budgeted for. And so some of those are also in those uncommitted fund lines, because now as we're getting into those final liquidation, 12-month, this final liquidation year and the next year's final liquidation year in SR3, we're looking at those contingency lines too, now and deciding, okay, what is that purpose in that final year? And so some of that is there too.
And finally, ESSER3, which is recovery. So you can see the information similar to the last couple slides. And then our key focus areas really are thinking about staff retention and recruitment. We've got some new programs that are partially funded within ESSER3. And then finally, continuity of operations. So that IT support, that's been really crucial. The staffing for that, human resources, and the needs that we had for additional staff to support that department. And then custodial and facilities, that's been something that has been an ongoing need to ensure that mitigation practices are in place. And, we're really looking at making sure that we're proactive in, maintaining clean and healthy spaces for our students. And then finally, transportation. A component of ESSER3 is the set aside. So within ESSER3, there's a requirement that LEAs dedicate a minimum of 20% of their total grant award to address learning loss. And the set aside funds must include both academic and social emotional supports. In Osborne, we have approximately 25% of our ESSER3 funds that are dedicated to set-aside activities. It's allowed us to expand offerings within summer school, having additional teachers, thus reducing class sizes. Our MTSS specialists that we've had at each site. We have had an additional ELL paraprofessional. We also have an additional Native American liaison that supports kind of targeted, from a targeted perspective, our K-3 Native American population, and then we also have our lead social worker that's been able to be funded in ESSER3, and she's been so instrumental from the perspective of really being able to actively mentor the other social workers in the district. They really look to her as a leader, so that's been a great benefit of these funds as well. So impact and beyond. Some of the most significant impacts are really through these funds have been what we've been able to do, especially in that initial response. The staff retention, we've been able to offer those stipends continually and plan to do so through the end of the term of the last grant. Additional staff just to support their response. That's been really important. Enhancement of our social emotional supports. We've been able to provide additional professional development, additional curricula, and then professional development on all levels. We've had leadership, professional development to build the capacity of leadership, but then also professional development to support the efficacy of the instruction for the students. And then thinking about sustainability, we're in that sort of, like I was saying, that assessment stage and looking at, how are these systems? What additional needs do we have? Looking at repurposing and reprocessing either positions or even funds. So for example, the HQEL grant allowed us to fund now half of our preschool coordinator's position, which that position was fully funded in ESSER before. So we're really looking at, what sorts of funds that we can use to either braid together to continue to provide some of these supports or even additional funding opportunities as we are looking at the areas of focus and needs for sustainability. That would be the end.
Wonderful. When is the next stipend going to be, hit people's wallets?
The next retention stipend?
Retention stipend. Is it going to be one this calendar year?
So all of the retention stipends that have been board approved at this time have already been paid out. So those staff that were eligible for a retention stipend to return for this school year, those funds were dispersed in August upon their first paycheck back. to report to work for this year. So going into spring and budget committee conversations, those uncommitted funds that are in ESSER, those balances are part of that conversation of, do we have capacity to recommend an additional wave of retention? And it'll definitely be one of the topics of budget committee, because we did set aside, in addition to those uncommitted funds, we did budget for a third wave of retention statements already.
Okay. So there's already something in the budget for a third wave in an unspecified amount.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation and for your work. It's a significant portion of the budget and it funds very important programs. So thank you for your work and commitment to the district.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Going back to the agenda, item 7, administrative reports. Any questions regarding the reports? Not necessarily a question, but perhaps for Dr. Robert to address later on, is the trend on suspensions is going upwards. I recall that we had discussed previously at prior meetings some of the mechanisms that the district had implemented to reduce the number of suspensions, and that those had been successful. So just interested in seeing, just getting more information on that.
Noted.
And then I noted also in the reports the celebration of the Teacher of the Year celebration in October. So I want to recognize the amazing staff that we have here in Osborne. We already did item 8A, so we're going to go to 8B, approval and second reading of ASBA policy for generally relating to immunization. And so as the second reading, now we're at the point of adopting them. We've reviewed them before. I don't know if there's any comments.
No, in my preparation with Dr. Robert before tonight, his recommendation is the same, that they be approved according to the recommended ASBA policy revisions.
Were there any concerns by the board members on, or need for discussion on this? No?
Concerns, but no need for discussion.
There are always concerns.
Yes.
Yes.
I've expressed those already, but I'm going to move that we approve second reading of the ASBA policy, JLCB, JLCB-R, and JLCB-E.
Is there a motion's been made? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. And this one is a very special item. I don't know if Colleen, you had anything to say, otherwise I can.
No, go for it.
So Sue Corbin, who's been a longtime member of the board, is retiring after many, many years of service. Not only as before being on the board, you served the district as well, but in honor of your service to the district in your board service, the district wanted to nominate you for the ASBA honor roll at the annual awards breakfast. So that requires official board action for nomination. So that is why it's on the agenda today. Any questions on that?
No questions. I just want to enthusiastically move that we approve the nomination of member Sue Corbin for an ASBA Honor Roll Award to be presented at the ASBA Annual Awards Breakfast.
I would like to second that and add that it's been a really wonderful experience working with you and learning and growing with you, Sue. I think I've been here the longest out of the rest of us, and we have grown together, and thank you very much for your service and for, guiding me.
Thank you.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So look forward to hearing about that. All right. The next items is setting a date for the January organizational meeting, and it generally happens that first week and the Thursday, is it, or?
Yes, it's usually the first Thursday back from winter break. It's required that the board hold their organizational meeting by January 15th to elect your officers, president and clerk, as well as set the board's schedule of meetings for the upcoming year. The district's administration and Dr. Robert is proposing Thursday, January 12th, but we are also open to the first Thursday, as we've traditionally done, which would be Thursday, January 5th. The reason we were proposing the possibility of pushing it back a week to January 12th was because this winter break is not a 2-week Monday through Friday. We actually returned back from winter break on that day prior. That Wednesday is our first day back from winter break. And so then having a board meeting the very next day, but it's definitely a possibility and we're open to it. But we also we could entertain having it the following week, which would be the second Thursday of the month on the 12th.
I suspect Ms. Ramos and Greenberg would make themselves available, but have they been consulted on their availability?
I'm not aware of that.
They've got time. I'm sure they're gonna be
Okay.
jacked to be
I
there,
was just
sure.
wondering if arranged, discussions have been had. Okay. Well, I leave it up to you guys.
Either one's fine. I mean, I think probably let's do the 5th. It's the first Thursday. That works as long as it's either 5:30 or 6. But 5:30 would work for me on the 5th of January.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Luis, that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I don't know if we need. This is not an action item, so I don't know if we need a motion. Okay.
So I just got on my calendar 5:30 on the 5th. What? Okay. Is that a thumbs up or?
For our superintendent of education, no.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I guess we're set for January 5th at 5:30.
Yes.
Okay. And then availability for either December work study or regular meeting changed to December 13th. Believe this has to do with some sort of budgetary decision that needs to be made by the 15th?
It does. So statute requires that if the district needs to revise their budget, it must be done by December 15th, and the original calendar scheduled meetings of the board didn't allow for a December meeting to occur prior to. And there is no currently scheduled work study in December, which would allow us to move it before the regular meeting. So I believe Dr. Robert had surveyed the board, and the consensus that he received was that the board would prefer amongst all of you, would prefer to move the regular meeting up a week to Tuesday the 13th versus adding in a second meeting in the month.
Yep. Any opposition to having the board meeting on the 13th?
Nope. I think that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Perfect. All right. Board development. A couple conferences coming up, and feel free to let Ms. Nye know if you are interested.
Yes, Lisa wants to make sure that we stress that this Friday is the early registration deadline. So if you are interested in attending the National School Boards Association Equity Symposium in DC, it's in January, but we need to know by Friday in order to get the early bird registration discount.
Put me down as well, because that's a Saturday, not a Friday, so it'll be a lot easier for me.
Okay. Okay. Feel free to email Lisa if you're
if you're interested. And then item 10, reflections, feedback on the meeting. Luis?
Feedback. I was thinking about this actually earlier, and I'm really happy with where we're going with grants. Grants carry a lot of districts. Grants carried what carried me through school. So it's just right now my big thing is I'm thankful for all the grants we're receiving. It's inspiring to say the least, especially with how everything's been going. We got them. I'm gonna bring up my other portion of that with the future business item, but I'm really happy with the grants and the way we're working in the community. I'm really happy we're bringing in more groups like Peer Solutions. So I think we as a district are moving forward. I'm happy for once again everything I always echo community.
So it was really great to see the young kids. It's really exciting to see them and talk to them out in the hallway. And also communities are celebrating people who make a difference in our community. So thank you, Sue.
Thank you, guys. I can't talk.
If I say too much about my respect and appreciation for Sue, then I'm gonna start crying. I'm gonna save my tears for the December meeting, but just suffice it to say, really, it's been a pleasure serving with you, Sue, and really appreciate and respect everything you've done for this community. And I don't think there's anybody that I can think of that's more Osborne through and through on every level, and so it's inspiring. But I will save more comments for the next December meeting. In terms of reflections, it's so great to see the kids today. It was so inspiring to see these kids speaking and just the level of engagement, asking kids to step up and to help out and be a part of the community. They step up, and really makes a huge difference to open up the campus, to give tours of the campus. I love seeing that. I love seeing the stuff going on. PTO coming on at Solano. I mean, I've seen that a couple of times now, and I think things coming on campus, like that's really the backbone, and really just getting parents, the community involved in our schools. I see that just flourishing at all of our campuses, and it's a wonderful thing to see. And so I love seeing it. And as was mentioned before, we have a wonderful community that really supports our schools. We can't be afraid to ask. We asked when it came to the override, and we received 75%. No district supports their schools more than ours. So it's fantastic to be a part of it, and we're just getting started, I think.
I echo the sentiment about the Valley and the importance of the grants, and it was. And then tied to that, having kids present, we've had a couple meetings now where we've had students present, but looking at those grants and kind of seeing the breakdown of ESSER and kind of the discussion took me back to 2020 and how far we've come since then. Those were challenging times. Those last 2 years, it seems it's fading, but we're still feeling the legacy of that. So I appreciate the continued work to secure additional resources for the students. Do you have any reflections, Colleen?
Yes, I echo everything. It was wonderful hearing from and seeing the students from Solano, our student ambassadors. That was wonderful. And also seeing the Solano staff here for our Love Awards. And I think it's just great that we're continuing to honor the staff that are living out our values every day. And that they were able to be here was really wonderful as well. And I echo all of the other board sentiments, and just a sincere thank you to our community for how many times, the override is just another example of how often they show up and support our district and our schools and our families, and all the work we do. We couldn't do it without their support, and so it's just wonderful.
Future agenda items, Luis?
I want to, on the topic of the thing when we're thinking about grants and other items like that, look into ways we can leverage grants and or current ESSER funds to potentially try to bridge the gap between what we have in students who are free and reduced lunch and those who aren't. Looking at Colorado this past week, they passed universal free lunch. And I think Osborne is a great place to potentially show all of Arizona. Doesn't matter how much you earn, or if you're not, you're in that one area where, you know, your kid's still gonna go hungry, that we're gonna feed your kid no matter what, make sure it's free. That's just looking at that, maybe finding a way to, you know, work around that. I'm interested in that.
The superintendent can report back, but my understanding is that right now we do not charge for
Yeah.
any children.
I don't pay anything for my kids'
Yeah.
lunch. It's great.
I might be. Then I think I'm mixing my districts up right now because I'm thinking about my district right now. I work at, it's not like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good that we have that. Maybe find ways we can put that on display then to show other people how we do it. Because, I mean, if
Yeah.
looking at other states, I mean, considering the fact, you know, one step out of the way, I've heard my kids going, hey, do you have food? I can't afford it. Which
Yeah.
is, you know,
Right out in front here, that say all students.
Talk to us about it next time we can add it to the agenda.
I'm mixing my districts up, but at the same time, I think it's a good thought.
Yelenia? Well, sorry, was there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
I would like to add to the agenda the possibility for a conversation about staff having the day off on election day so they can.
Yes.
Sue?
I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Nothing for me.
Okay. Talking about ESSER reminded me of a conversation we had about remembering and memorializing some of the loss and challenges that the district had, and I don't think that's gone further. I think the conversation was we wanted to have some time, but interested in kind of getting the district's perspective on whether there's any plans or intention. All right. That is it for the published agenda. Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cars, Michael, and who else went with her? With him?
Abby and
I was just trying to say,
yeah.
What? Oh, yeah.